public comment, please come to the microphone if you wish to make a statement.
Come for this purpose, but it is interesting. I'm Jeffrey Nimek, 5851 Lindbergh Street in Orfield. Just a couple of quick questions. I know Mr. Arndt, and I didn't recognize you at first when it's good to see you again. What is, you gave us the, I assume when you say gallons per day, you're talking average gallons per day?
That's correct.
What do you use for your average calculation? How many days?
For average day basis, we use 250 gallons per EDU. An EDU being an equivalent dwelling unit or a typical residential home. And the design around that always has a peaking factor, which is calculated into the sizing of the plant, so that during wet weather circumstances, wind flows typically would rise, that the peak flow would be accommodated as well.
What is your peak flow calculation?
I believe in this case we're talking about...
We were typically peak at factor of 4.
You're going to use a peak 4?
Yes.
That also takes into
So
account...
you're basically saying that plant should be able to handle 800,000. Now, you're going back to your average gallons per day. Averages are dependent on whether you use an average for a day, average for a week, average for a month, average for a year. That's why I asked you, what were you averaging?
It is per day.
Okay, average gallons per day. So your peak would be 800,000.
Right.
The peak is really built into the 200,000.
Well, yeah, they used to say that out in Coopersburg too, with the line that goes there. What is your peak flow capacity, treatment capacity of that plant?
From a hydraulic standpoint, it's typically twice the permitted capacity of the plant, which would be 400,000.
I thought, I could be wrong, but my recollection is it's 2.5 is the engineering standard for peak flow.
It depends on size of collection area and what you have coming into the plant. We typically, for a plant, would like to design for a factor of 4.
Okay. And just out of interest on this, the cost for this, is this going to be borne by LCA and then pass through to the customers that hook up?
As the plan has been developed, the costs of service would ultimately be borne by the users of the system, and that would be accomplished through, the facility would be financed by Lehigh County Authority, which the plan designates as the entity to implement the plan. And what the means of providing the financing for the project would be largely through either municipal bonds, or to the extent that funding would be available through one of the state programs such as PennVest, that alternative will be examined at the time the plan is constructed. Ultimately then, those dollars that are invested in the facilities, as well as the operational costs, would be recovered through user charges, and a certain amount of the cost would also be recovered through the upfront connection charges to new users.
Now, I think it's Act 67 deals with the upfront connection charges. Have you made your calculations on that?
Yes, we did make assumptions in the plan as to what those connection fees would be.
And currently, could you give me an idea for just an average homeowner what it would be?
I believe the plan calls for an estimated fee of about $5,000 per EDU.
All right, and so how do you have it planned for commercial?
Essentially, the way the plan does it, it looks at it on an equivalent EDU basis. But what would be done in the case of each commercial user, there would be an engineering estimate that would be determined that would be developed to estimate how much flow would be coming out of that facility, and then that is then converted to EDUs, so that effectively the commercial sites would be paying the same EDU rate as any residential user.
And do you expect intermunicipal agreements with the neighboring communities?
Well, in this particular case, the service area of that plant would only be North Whitehall Township.
Okay.
And to answer your question directly, yes, ultimately, we have, for example, we currently have a water service agreement with the township because we provide water service here. We expect we would do the same thing on the wastewater side.
So LCL own the lines, maintain the lines, and basically operate the system, and will they also be the collection agents for the charges?
Yes.
So basically, this is an LCA project with, which you're seeking to get the municipal imprimatur approval for, so you can go to DEP.
I guess I have a slightly different view than the way you've stated it. I really see this as a partnership between the township and the authority. Lehigh County Authority has no independent ability to go in and either mandate or provide sewer service in any community unless it fits within the 537 plan that the community adopts. And as you probably well know, one of the requirements of the 537 plan is that it needs to conform to the land use planning of the community. So pretty much what the community dictates or determines in the way of land use in turn describes what can or should be done in regard to wastewater service.
I understand. That's the whole purpose of this meeting tonight, because this is a 537 plan amendment of what exists. Let me ask you this. So I'm still confused. What I don't quite understand as your involvement with the other municipalities like Washington Township, are they intended to hook to this system later? Is that what this is? The idea is?
No, certainly at this point there is no such plan to do that. The reason that it was a multi-municipal effort is that when you look at this drainage basin, as I indicated earlier in my comments, there's already 12 pre-existing plants here. Every one of the communities other than Lowhill already has a plant in its community. And those plants need to be maintained and operated going forward. And in fact, Lehigh County Authority owns at least one of those plants in the outlying areas. And one of the things that we really wanted to look at and do so in a cooperative fashion was, are there ways that we can consolidate plants and facilities over a period of time? The conclusion we came to ultimately is in the scope of this plan, no, we can't get there, but maybe we can start that process here in North Whitehall, where the plants seem to be a bit more consolidated in the area that they are, and have the opportunities to interconnect and eventually move to a more regional approach to service.